Good evening, everybody. From me and my, are you like the Santa and I'm Mrs. Santa, or are
I
you
think
are you
I'm
my
more of
elf?
an elf. I think really because yeah, I'm a helpful elf.
You're a helpful elf. I don't
I
know whether
might
people
even
can,
be on the shelf.
I don't
Eh?
know whether people can see this full glory of my outfit because my hat is so tall and Zoom background kind of has to go. So I might take it off when we get to the serious stuff, but put it back on for the quiz. So we
Oh, are
give.
we doing serious stuff?
Well, we're going to touch on some serious stuff,
I better
some
change my
some
notes
depressing
then.
stuff. When we
Okay.
review DVSA's performance across the year, that's going to be quite depressing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, good evening, folks, as you all kind of shuffle in for this session. Welcome to the Christmas version of the DIA Motormouth. As if you hadn't guessed, we were doing a festive special. Like, this is what we dress like all the time for those who regularly attend Motormouth. Graham, can you just model your jumper for us? I'm not sure people are getting the full majesty
Okay.
of
So
that.
it's a bit. So okay.
Cool in the gang.
Oops. It's so Zoom is so difficult. Yeah.
It is.
Call
You
it
do
the
see it.
gang. And hang on, if it will work, I don't know whether it will work. Good job
Well,
I
you've
got
disappeared
trousers on.
completely, which is a good,
Yeah.
which is a good thing in some
Yeah,
people's.
it says snow ho ho on the bottom. Yeah.
Okay, so and as you can see, I have some kind of mother Christmas kind of thing going on. I'm just typing into the chat so you can know that that one's up and running. Please feel free to say hi and let us know that you're there. Also, if you can see us in all our festive glory and you can hear us clearly using the emojis on your toolbar, if you can give us a thumbs up or whatever you want to give us so you can let us know you're actually here and listening. And also, well, I'll just go through some housekeeping. Well, first of all, introduce ourselves. I'm Carly Brookfield. I'm Chief Executive at Driving Instructors Association. I'm joined tonight by the ever lovely and ever festive Graham Hooper, our Head of Driver Training Development, and a very well-known figure, but better known than Santa Claus in the driver training world, I would say, this evening. Hello, Graham.
Good evening, everyone. Hey, happy Christmas. Look, in my family, they won't believe this because I'm a bit of a Grinch, really. I'm a bit of a boo hoo hoo. But hey, I'm trying my best this year. Okay. Oh, thank you, Janet, for saying I
No,
look
she says
gorgeous.
Carly. She says Carly looks gorgeous. She didn't say anything about Graham. You just misread that. Thanks,
Oh
Jana.
dear.
We
I've got to take a
appreciate that.
picture of that now, quick.
We'll take all the compliments this evening.
Yeah.
Right, so I'm gonna take the hat off until we get to the quiz now because it's gonna be serious. It's gonna be serious. So a little bit of housekeeping to begin with. We're gonna keep any questions you've got for us tonight in the Q&A. Chat amongst yourselves in the chat, and we're gonna probably use the chat a lot more than we normally do tonight because we want you to share your views about what's gone right in 2025, what hasn't gone right either for you, your business, DVSA, the whole world of driver training. We're going to ask some very pointed questions about that. In a moment, Graham's going to take us through an overview of the year in terms of big developments. And then we're going to have the big fat Christmas quiz, just a short bit of festive fun with a few little prizes to go in there as well. It will undoubtedly be chaos, as we've never done a quiz within one of these before. So bear with us, but we'll get to something.
It'd be organised chaos.
As per organized chaos. So yeah, thank you very much, everybody, for giving up your time and joining us this evening. As we get towards the end of the year, it feels like we're kind of drudging through snow in a way. And just to make you feel like you've been trudging in snow all year, Graham, can you hit us with a review of the highlights of the year?
Okay, so I've just taken a little look back at some main points that happened over the year, and I went back to January the 21st, and it says make sure you have your say on booking driving tests. That was January the 21st when the DVSA came to us. On the 27th, they wrote to us and wanted to encourage us to do CPD, New Year, New Goals. And I know a lot of you got stuck into that, but I don't know whether it was the DVSA encouraging you. 13th of Feb. Oh, 13th. Well, I don't know whether it was a Friday or not. Next steps to review and improve booking tests. There was
That was a Valentine's treat, wasn't it?
mm, there was 26,900 responses to that. Now, That's a bit of a red herring because we're going to come to something a little bit later. 8th of April, driving test short notice cancellation period changed. 22nd of April, trialling changes to the driving test. 29th of April, the Scottish Government protecting vulnerable groups starting June the 30th. 28th of May, consultation launch on who can book tests. And then 1st of July, tackling misuse of the OBS service. Now, this is the key one from the numbers now. 24th of July, 102,000 responses to the consultation. Bearing in mind there was only around 40,000 ADIs, we were never going to get our say on that consultation. We were railroaded, in my opinion. I think Kylie might agree. 28th of July, extension to the driving test trial. 13th of August. This I didn't even know this one, yeah. So until I look, new theory test questions to aid cardiac arrest survival. Nothing
I did
against it,
because
but
I was in. I'm in the theory test special provisions group that
yeah,
looks at
it
the.
just
Yeah.
sailed over my head. I didn't know. September, not a lot happened. 2nd of October. This has got. I've never seen the answers to this survey. I think we'd all love to see this one. Tell us what it's like working as an ADI.
You can see that on gov.uk.
Oh,
You
is
can.
it
And
there?
it's quite fascinating. So, because it
Okay.
looks about like average charges for lessons, average hours worked, all that kind of thing. So it is,
Okay, so it
you can
is
find it on
there.
gov.uk.
Yeah. Maybe we should find that link and put it out there
We
somewhere.
should, yeah, we should publish
Yeah.
that because DVSA's own publishing and communications channels don't necessarily hit
No, we don't
everybody.
get. Yeah. It's hidden, hidden
Yeah,
in plain sight, as they
yeah.
say. 14th of October, Mark Wynne retires as the chief driving examiner. And I went, who? Yeah.
I've worked with Mark, but he did seem to disappear into the background somewhat in the last couple of years. It was like, if anybody remembers The Simpsons, there's that famous meme of Homer just
Yeah,
disappearing into the hedge. It's like, as waiting times went up, I think Mark disappeared a bit more and more.
definitely. Um, you like this one? 16th of October, the DVSA, how we're stopping illegal instructors. Worked really well.
And one of the strategies there was to stop a pupil and an instructor on going into test centre car parks and saying, "Are you an illegal instructor, or do you know if your instructor's illegal?" Whereas most rational people would say, if I knew my instructor was fraudulent and I was using that channel to get an edge, and I knew I was a fraudulent instructor, I'm not going to actually go, "Yes, I am. I am an illegal instructor."
Okay. 24th of the 11th, the new test. And then on the 28th of the 11th, publishing the test booking next steps. So that's about the DVSA in a year.
And then we've just had, obviously, this
This
week,
is
I
the
think
next
it
bit.
was, DVSA published the actual consultation report, though they, I think, deliberately sent out in that first email no link to the published consultation report. In one of the emails they sent out, certainly we had to go searching for it. But the majority of it was a blog, which they asked us to review as NAS beforehand. And the original blog was a page and a. Listen, I know there's an irony here because I waffle an awful lot, but this is a moment for directness to try and answer some direct challenges to this consultation. When I was asked to review the original email that was supposed to go out to you all, it was a page and a half of preamble, the biography for someone you're probably only ever going to see once or hear from once and never hear from again. So what's the point in having their bio? And then a load of other waffle before you got to what did the consultation tell us and how many people responded and all the important bits like that and what are we going to do. So luckily they listened on this occasion. I think I got 2 hours when I was sent the comms with the rest of them, and I didn't see anybody else feed back on the comms. And I just got off a plane, so I was just dashing off my response to say it's too long. It's a page and a half before you even get to the detail. And why are we only seeing this now? And luckily they took note of that. So you got a much more abbreviated version that got to the meat a lot quicker. But the reality is it was a line of defense more than information about we've made this decision. And yes, we recognize that there was hundreds of thousands of people who are not necessarily expert in what the impacts of switching off the booking system to ADIs will be, but we've gone with that majority, not necessarily the ADIs who responded to the consultation. And just to give you some background on that last one, and looking at the results of a survey that we'll publish this week. At the same time they announced those measures, we asked our members what did they think of the measures about the booking test, and overwhelmingly the response of DIA members was they weren't in favour with these measures and they had very little
You
confidence in these measures.
would you like me to go through them?
Yes, do you want to go through? You
Yeah,
can go through our survey results. Have you got them handier than I have right
yeah,
now?
I've got. We had 1,051 responses.
I think we had more. That's an
Yeah, that
earlier
was
extraction than I took.
yeah.
So we actually nearly had proportionally a better response than they did to the consultation.
Okay. So the question: do you agree with the measure to restrict ADIs from booking tests? You disagreed, and that
Not me
was
personally. That was the people who responded.
yeah, yes. The people responded. 78.7% disagreed. So huge. Do you think the consultation should have included a question about only ADI and trainers being able to book tests? Yes, the consultation should have had that option. That was 77.7%. Again, huge. Question 3. Do you think swaps should have been limited? Majority here was no. Multiple swaps should still be allowed. That was 62.5%. And so that made it 37% said swaps should have been limited. Question 4. Do you think drafting in military examiners will have any meaningful impact on waiting times? No, I do not think it would have much impact. 85%. Yeah, so that's what we think of it, really.
And the
Question
facts of the
5.
matter are that those military examiners that are being brought in will only release 6,500 extra tests per year when we need a lot
At
more than
best.
that at best.
Question 5. Do you think the negative impacts of these measures have been properly considered in the minister's decision making? I do not think ministers really considered all the impacts. 91%. I think they just made it up on the spot. I think they're right because it was the day after, wasn't it? Loveday resigned.
Yeah, we had Loveday resigning on something like the Tuesday, and the minister went to Transport Select Committee on the Wednesday morning and announced the measures, and then DVSA were playing catch up all for the rest of the next day.
Okay. Do you feel that ministers need to fully consult with the industry on the decisions made before they are implemented? Yes, ministers need to fully consult. 93%. Agreed. So, on a scale of 1 to 5, how effective overall do you feel these measures will be in bringing down test waiting times, with 1 being no meaningful impact and 5 being very effective? So, 1, no meaning impact, nearly 75%. 2, just under 25%. So, if we add them up, yeah, that's not far off nearly. About 95% think it will have no effect at all. Question 8. On a scale of 1 to 5, how do you think the government's communication of these measures have been handled, with 1 being very poor and 5 being excellent? Well, 1 cleared 75% on my graph and 2 was around 20%. So again, we're hitting about 95% think the comms was absolute rubbish.
And we say government because we don't just blame DVSA for the terrible comms, because sometimes the decisions are beyond them and they have to wait for the minister to make a move before they can do anything. And they did actually apologise to particularly people like NASP about the fact that we were all caught out on these measures being announced before we'd had any chance to discuss them.
Okay, what is your level of confidence in DVSA and wider government to deal with the test delivery issues, with one being very low and five being I have full confidence. Um, that's probably hitting when I look at the graph about 80%, and on one being very low and two still being low, that's just nearly 20%. So we're looking at about 98% of people have no confidence. Someone actually, no, we had no one have a five going, I have full confidence.
We
We
didn't get fives in any of the survey results. Nobody
no,
was awarding them good for any, very
yeah.
good for anything.
And four and three were very, very low as a percentage. Three was about, I don't know, 2%, and four was probably about 1%. So really, really poor. So that's the results from the survey that the DIA sent out. And I think, we're all in agreement. We're all on the same page.
I think this hit DBSA hard. Now, as you know, me and Graham are not backwards in coming forward. So, although we had been saying throughout discussions of particularly the booking system measures they were proposing to look at in the consultation, we think you need to take a bit more time to consider this, to try other things as well. It's clear to some degree they weren't necessarily listening to even their closest stakeholders. And I think when they saw the numbers on our survey, and that had been running a matter of week, like 2 weeks, but we'd got to 1,000 people already. Pauline Reeves, who is one of the few people that I would say genuinely does listen and take things on board at DVSA, I think she was shocked to see the response in this survey. And I think they think we're doom and gloom, but actually, the rest of the industry doesn't necessarily feel the same way. We're just a very vocal minority, even though DIA alone represents, over 10,000 people in terms of individual membership. And we have a lot more than that in terms of readers and subscribers to things like Driver Trainer. But I think when they saw the survey data and the very poor evaluation of their decision making as an agency and their communication, she was taken, really abacked by that. And for those of you who are at our conference on Friday, I think there was a huge degree of honesty from Pauline, and one person in the audience asked a very fair question. You've got NASP talking to you, you've got individual associations talking to you. We pay them to represent us. Is it not getting through? And luckily for us, rather than throwing us under the bus, she said, "No, no, no. They do tell us all the bad stuff. I just think we've not been listening." I think DVSA have not been listening. I think people like Carly and her team have been very clear, and I don't think the agency's taken it on board. And we need to listen more than we have been. And that's a feeling I will adhere to. You sometimes get in meetings with DVSA people just nodding their head and agreeing with you, but you're like, you're not. This isn't really going through, is it? You think we're just saying it. You don't actually recognise the consequences and that they're going to happen. So I think that recognition from at least one person with senior policy making role at DVSA was a bit of a breakthrough. But that survey and your responses collectively was pivotal in having that, oh my God, moment, unfortunately, post a consultation.
This is quite funny, because as I read this, Christ has responded in our Q&A, because it does say Christ to host and panelists. Yeah.
Christy.
No, I haven't got
Great.
the Y on the end of mine. It just
Okay.
says
All right.
Christ.
Fine.
Yeah. So I thought, as Christmas and
Yeah, you'll
Christ,
go with that.
we'll go with that. I haven't got. So anyway, I would guess it's Christy. So thank you. Oh, hang on, it's jumped because someone's just come in. Right, I'm going to read this out because this year was Anus
Anus.
Horribilis.
Well, don't get us
Drive
censored
for
on Zoom.
eternity. Don't know where she nicked that one from. Yeah. What was the point of responding to the DSA? They never, ever, I presume they ever listened. And I think I get confused with that, because if we don't respond enough, how can they listen? So I get a little bit like, maybe if we responded in full numbers, we might have an impact. But I never
However, on the consultation, would we? Because
well, we wouldn't,
playing
because we got outnumbered on that without a doubt.
exactly on the consultation, you're playing
Excuse me.
42,000 if we all responded
Yeah.
versus over 100 odd thousand members of the public.
Yeah.
And There was a bit of a uncomfortable moment in a NAS meeting the Monday ahead of the consultation measures being announced by Heidi Alexander. So we met with DVS on the Monday, measures are announced on Wednesday. No one in the Monday meeting announces anything to do with, oh, Heidi's going to Transport Select Committee on Wednesday, so watch out. We knew she was going to Transport Select Committee, and you could probably draw an assumption from that. The minister, backed up against the wall, is going to probably try and announce another set of measures, but we didn't know exactly what. And we had a conversation which got quite contentious because they were saying, I said, where you still haven't explained to me how you are going to balance the imbalance, which is you're only ever going to get this amount of ADIs who are the arguable expert on this responding. And how do you balance that over the overwhelming majority of responses that you've got from members of the public who are arguably the inexpert and will vote for what they want rather than what they need? And, of course, you've got to take on public opinion. They're the public service user. They're paying a fee too. They know what they want, so they can have a say. But you've got, how do you weigh that expert opinion of the ADI, who is going to be much smaller in responding quantities, with this overwhelming majority, which, are uneducated to some degree about the consequences and can't see them through? And one response to that from one person who shall remain nameless, the DVSA, was, why didn't you say that at the outset? You can tell somebody's losing it when they're starting to turn on you and it's all your fault. Am I running the consultation? Is it my job to pull that all together? And I actually said, we did. We raised this all the way through. I raised this from the beginning personally. It is minuted in NAS meetings predating your consultation. I said, how will you ever balance, if you go out to the public, this inexpert expert balance, and how will how will you decide what you do after that with that imbalance? And then there was silence, and I hate it when there's silence because that means somebody hasn't thought something through that's really, really important and they should have done. So, and there was a really good point in a very subsequently contentious meeting with other stakeholders, which include the heads of the national franchises. And I was going to steal this one and claim it as my own, but I can't because they'll know that it was their saying. Somebody from one of the big franchises said, this wasn't a consultation, it was a referendum, because consultation is you ask our opinion on a range
Yeah.
of measures, then there's a discussion about implementation and there's analysis about whether that implementation work. And we didn't realize we were voting on single issues, and a referendum is voting on single issues, and those are the issues that are going to be implemented. So this really was more of a referendum that people didn't realize in a consultation.
Okay. Christy, with your ideas, um, I don't know how much it's casting tablets of stone at the moment moving forward. Um, is this absolute finale that, learners are booking tests, Carly? Is there,
It is for the time being. I mean, if you read the blog that they sent out yesterday, and I really don't agree with blogs being sent out for something like that. This is my other piece of feedback. I don't want a chatty conversational piece from you when you're communicating this gravity of measure, and I don't want to know the biography of the person sending me the piece. I want you to tell me the facts and quickly. And I want you to show me that you actually built them on a solid back foundation rather than a house of sand. But they do have a paragraph in there that fundamentally says, we're doing this. We're not going to go back on it. So unless something significantly changes in government thinking, and God knows, we know that U-turns can happen, by spring next year, this is what they intend to do. Because whilst that old, anarchic booking system exists that has a lot of risk in it because it is so old and it's letting in so many cybersecurity threats, they believe that this is their only choice, is to shut out anybody but sole user pupils. What we have fed back, which is a very important point because this has not come out in this blog at all. What we have fed back to DVSA is another very unfortunate part of this entire communications scenario is, by talking about shutting out third parties to decrease fraud in the system and keep the bots out, they allied those third party bad actors, they allied ADIs with those. So, in the mind of the public, it was our argument to DVSA, you have allowed ADIs to become part of those bad actors, those bad people. And people are thinking that ADIs are those third parties that were going in and doing bad things. Now, some were, admittedly, there were some, it's unfortunate in our community, there are people that were being bought for 250 quid a time, giving their OBS login details to some of the third party resellers. And that's really unfortunate that we've got so-called professionals who are doing that to make a quick buck. Make a quick buck of 250 quid for giving you details away, face fit and proper proceedings and lose your whole license and livelihood. We're not dealing with intelligent people who are doing this. But the majority of bad actors in that booking system were not ADIs at all. They were third party bots, people operating bots who were as likely to be as operating a bot in that booking system as they were for Oasis tickets. They specialize in jumping the queue and deploying bots for a variety of reasons. So they wouldn't have been allied to the driver training world at all. They're just black marketeers who go in and profit whilst they can from finding loopholes in booking system, scraping product and selling it on for triple, quadruple the price. But DVSA in their communications managed to make people think ADIs were part of those bad actors. And that's something that I think they should apologize for, and put people right on that assumption.
Yeah, I mean, still remaining negative. We haven't come out well in the eyes of the public all the way through this. And the bottom line is and it's always the way, isn't it? The minority punish the majority.
I think the biggest thing, though, Graham, that we have to take away from this, and I was on breakfast on Saturday morning. That was great, doing the conference all day Friday, and having to get up again at 8 on Saturday morning. But it was, it's important. I don't just like having my face on BBC TV and ITV. By the way, I'm not that vain, but it's important that we have our place in these discussions and make sure it's actually coming from our industry rather than RAC and IAM and people like that who don't really know what's going on at the coalface. Um, they were asking about the booking system, and that was the subject they wanted me to talk about. But clearly, I will always manipulate an interview on broadcast channels to what I want to talk about. And I don't know who's with me here, but I feel that the booking system thing is a huge red herring. And again, we've misled the public here because the problem is not necessarily the bots. Even the bots cannot get slots in a system that does not have enough slots in it. So you can't resell product at vast prices if it's not there in the first place. And our biggest problem is there is not enough product in the warehouse. And DVSA keeps using the bot issue, the booking system issue, as a red herring because it's the one thing they can look like they're doing something about very quickly. Oh, we can close off the booking system so we look like we've done something really good there and effective. Because the examiner situation, which is they're the manufacturers of the slots, basically getting more examiners, isn't the one that they're really getting on top of, if you look at the stats. Because we've had 19 recruitment campaigns for new examiners over the last few years. And we've only netted, well, they haven't even reached target, have they? The original target was
The
450 new
balance was
examiners.
40, wasn't it? Around 42 was
40
the
full-time
balance.
posts has been the equivalent that's been recruited out of 19 successive examiner recruitment campaigns. So not only are you not recruiting enough people, you're also losing people in the training process because the training process is too long for the remit that DVSA has to try and fulfill at the moment. In an ideal world, yeah, you'd want people to go through a quality, you know, good quantity of weeks training. We're not in that. We're in a need scenario. We're in a need to get done. And it's still too long for what a commercial entity would do to get people out on the streets. And we certainly don't spend 6 to 7 weeks training examiners for Diamond to do a very similar job. And so they've never really expedited that process. So what happens is they've lost tons of recruits. So I think, don't quote me on this, but there's a figure they quoted themselves in a
You're
meeting.
recording it.
Yeah, coordinator. But no, but I've got to check my facts. They
Okay.
used it, and I meant to go back to them and go, really? I thought it was bad. I didn't think it was that bad. Nearly 1,200 people have been through in the last 4 or 5 years since lockdown, examiner recruitment in some way. Whether they count just an application, but they never went through to the training stage, I don't know. But they've interacted with over 1,200 people to only fill 40 posts, and probably more than that. And what happens is people are finding the training process too long. Maybe the fact that they go out to the test centre for some of that training really puts them off because they talk to examiners on the ground who are doing the job already. And the pay isn't enough. So some of the people applying for this job as an examiner are given the pay kind of people that might just as easily switch to being a Tesco van driver with less training and earning more instantly than you do becoming an examiner and what looks like less stress than becoming an examiner. So they're losing people to other roles. And and then leaking out the other end of this process, you've got all the existing examiners who are just going, "Ah, do you know what? I've had enough. I've done my time." And DVSA are doing trying to do their best without changing the fundamental. And the fundamental change that needs to happen is the pay needs to change completely. The salary needs to change, the conditions. What they've tried to do is bring in a £5,000 retention bonus to keep existing examiners in the room. But I think we all get to a point that money itself is not going to be the thing that keeps me in a job that I don't like and in a stressful situation. And that those guys trying to keep those guys in with a cash payment when they've been through the mill over the last few years and they've had enough, I'm not sure that's going to be entirely successful with people who are stressed out and burnt out. And some will say, no, there's not enough money to keep me in this job I'm going now, particularly if they're nearing retirement age. So
Something
yeah,
that
the
I
real
want to
problem is examiner recruitment.
Something I want to mention is that, I mean, if you were at the conference, I think it was the first time I had some faith in the DVSA when
Yes.
Pauline Reeves stood up. She come across really well, really honest. She hanged about. She answered people's questions. She was there on her own, didn't have the usual entourage surrounding her, the security guard. She was there speaking to ADIs. And this is why you should go to these things, because you get an opportunity to actually voice your opinion to the persons who are supposed to listen. And she's saying, I'm here to listen. And one of the things she said is that she's going to fight for examiners to come out that current pay grade. There's no reason why, in her opinion, they have to stay in that civil service pay grade. She's going to try and pull it out,
Yeah.
raise the rate of pay, which I think is, a really good idea. And what I don't understand is it's not going to cost them anything, because put the price of the test up.
It's costing them too much not doing it. This is the
Yeah.
thing that you look at when you operate any organization. The cost of not doing something sometimes is much greater than the investment in the doing the thing. And I think I've known Pauline for some time before she came to DVSA. I work with her at the Road Safety Strategy Group at DFT level, so she's good at getting the area ministers, and they trust her, and she's good within DVSA. So we very much hope she stays there. I did ask her the question, would she be the CEO? I don't know whether she's double bluffing me by saying no, definitely not, and I'm better in the position that I'm in. But she is staying. But she did listen, and one of the things she heard was, we're not listening enough, and we're not doing enough of the things that people at the coalface of driver education deem to be sensible moves. We need to listen to ADIs a lot more. And one of the things we spoke about a week before the conference, I had a one-on-one with Pauline. I said to them, if you are not going to U-turn on the test booking system and ADI access, what are we going to do to enable ADIs to be the professional gatekeeper to a driving license that you really should have them be alongside examiners if you're going to have this system of professional, trained, qualified, licensed driver trainers? Otherwise, it's almost pointless having that role. ADI should be a gatekeeper, and how is government going to enable them in that role better? And she liked that question, and we were going to have it as a discussion at the conference, but we kind of ran out of time in the Q&A. So what I've committed to is running a number of focus groups in the new year to discuss that with ADIs. And discuss any measures that will basically help us enable you guys to be part of that gatekeeping process, and kind of helping us assure that what goes through to test is the best quality that can be, and what support do ADIs need in that role as well. So we haven't there isn't a fixed idea we'll be looking at. Some suggestions have been doing an endpoint assessment before
Well,
the test.
that's what someone's just cut. The students need a passcode from their ADI before they can book a test.
Yeah,
There could be some good come out of this, because
yeah.
that's a great suggestion, which means that people have got to come to us for training. The problem, though, there is the other problem that we have been so busy that we haven't been able to fit students in and take them on. The numbers are growing for us, so we should be able to do that as an industry, take on the people, because if you think about it, I don't know how many's in the pipeline, but 50% of them are going to fail. So that's all. That pipeline is not diminishing. And of course, that's part, the DVSA's excuse is, well, if 50% didn't fail, we would get through the tests much quicker. Well, it's not going to shove anytime soon because we would actually need a complete overhaul of the industry with actually going back to who's delivering the trainer, what's the training course, what's the people coming into our industry, what are their capabilities. It's a real big ask. It's something that I think we're going to try to pick up the baton with at the DIA, but it
Yeah.
is a tough ask to do because we need backing to do it as well.
Yeah, Pauline. I mean, Pauline has said her and her team would like to get involved in those focus groups as well, and we'll be advertising that to members very soon. We'll be asking you to sign up for those. But it would the advantage of having some kind of endpoint assessment or series of assessments that ADIs do, and that those have some legitimacy in the pupil's record or journey to test, is an interesting one. It doesn't come without its problems. Some ADIs are not going to like it because it will bring more scrutiny to the performance of the ADI. Because if you're signing off somebody for tests, DVSA asked us a number of years ago as the National Association of Strategic Partnership what we thought about that idea. And two of the associations were more concerned with members of theirs that wouldn't like the additional scrutiny. I think at DIA, we're actually thinking about what makes the profession more professional. We're thinking about what's good for the pupil as well as for the member. We were more prepared to have a more open debate about is there more advantages though to doing that than there is worrying about the people who don't want more scrutiny. The majority of professionals think they're doing a good job and wouldn't mind doing assessments because they can be confident they train their pupil to the standard that they would be able to pass that assessment.
And this is something that Jane's brought up, and this is something that we are only busy because of the backlog. It wasn't like this years ago. So have we got to be careful what we wish for?
Mm.
Because we've been busy. This, the industry, the reason the numbers are growing in the industry is because people are seeing us do well and going, I want a piece of that. I want to be a driving instructor. Now, I think the standard needs to be pushed up, which is a problem. However, we if we fight and the tests come down, then what be careful of, we could get back into that race to the bottom where you remember it wasn't that long ago, 5 for 25. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm concerned looking at demand curves historically in any industry, and I can see some of this behavior being repeated in this industry, that if you have a big demand for the product, it will attract new entrants to the profession providing that product, and you allow that take on of a lot more people. But as that demand curve drops, which inevitably will, we're going to have a surplus of instructors, many of whom will be new, many of whom in a rush to join the industry, and given that ADI training is not where it should be, either the ADI qualification or the quality of trainers who train the qualification, are we going to be left with a surplus of people who have been sold a donkey in terms of
Well,
whether they're going to have a great career and lots of pupils? And I think we should get a bit more real about not just, 2026 in terms of New Year's resolution should maybe be about what can we do to involve AGIs in terms of quality assurance of pupils going through to tests, enable them to be a better gatekeeper. But also, should we be doing a bit better gatekeeping than we are on PDIs entering the industry?
I
It's a
think
bit let anybody have a go, and that's detrimental to the applicant as well as to the industry and DVSA, who can't really manage all these applications at the moment.
what's coming out. I run a Facebook group. There's nearly 22,000 people on that Facebook group, ADIs, PDIs, and I don't know. I've got no numbers, but there's more and more people going, oh, I learned it all on YouTube. I got it all off YouTube and TikTok. Well, the fact that they're going to get through, because the test actually is not that difficult in a lot of respects, they're going to get through. We have no standards checks.
No.
I had I was running an essential skills workshop yesterday, and ADI was on there, been an ADI 10 years. He got he passed the PSTs, and then he hasn't, he had a check test, and he has never, 10 years on, ever had a standards check. He's had a check test, the old fashioned check test. So we've got people sitting there 10 years
Yeah.
No standards
And
check.
I'm with
Now, I know we don't want, and again, we have to be careful. Oh, I don't want a standards check, but we've got to be careful because if these standards keep coming down,
Again,
then
though, if you're a professional, why would you have a problem about an assessment of your professionalism once every 4 years? God, go and work as an airline pilot. Go and work as an employee in an organization that does annual and biannual, appraisals. And any other because it's a regulated position. Financial services where I worked before, and teachers, the teacher training agency where I was many years ago, all regulated entities, regular cycle throughout the year of observation of your quality standards every 4 years. And some people now will be are on to 8 years, between, because they've fallen between. So I think, there is lots of things that have gone wrong, but that were wrong already. It's just that in this
it's just
post-lockdown world, it's
it's
become more urgent that we actually resolve them. What some of the questions we wanted to ask people tonight, and can you guys put this in the chat and be thinking about this? I want to be trying to be positive and end on a high, but we do have to discuss some negatives as well.
we've got a quiz as well,
We've
Colin.
got a quiz as well to fit in. So
Yes,
I'd like to say what went well this year. What was not just for not just for the industry, but did DVSA do anything well this year? Did the industry do anything this well? So you can answer it as DVSA doing something good, the industry did something good. What went well this year, and what is it that we should cling to and carry on doing into 2026? I want to know that in the chat. What I think we've kind of gone into quite a lot of detail about what went terribly wrong this year. So what are the big mistakes that should not be repeated? What New Year's resolutions should the industry, DVSA, or individual trainers take for 2026? Something they will stop doing, not something they will start doing. Because resolutions should be just as much giving something up and stopping doing something as they should be starting to do something. What big learnings did you have as a trainer? What big moment of learning did you have in the last year, and what are you going to do about that for 2026? What will you start doing? And what another big one is, what are the key resolutions you would like to see the new incoming? And we don't know at this moment who that is. I've been told there is a new DBSA CEO. They have been appointed. It's not Pauline Rees unless she's double bluffing me, and it's a very clever double bluff. But it's going to be somebody, I believe, parachuted in. So that suggests somebody from outside or from another side of DVSA. Um, but what is the kind of resolutions we would like that new CEO of DVSA to make for the agency for 2026? So good things, bad things that have happened in the last year. What should be stopped doing? What should be started doing? And what do we want that CEO to do? Because
I've,
obviously we'll be having a meeting with them as soon as they're in post.
I've
So
got
we've got
something
some ideas.
positive. I've got something. I think the new style test is a positive from the DVSA. So the sat nav, the rural road training is a positive. Bringing that
Yeah.
in is a positive. I'd
Yeah.
be interested. For me, look, we kill and seriously injure people. If we think about young males, because Dr. Sean Hellman gave a great presentation at the conference about young males and the danger of the young males. The problem we have is that with that test, yes, I agree, it will help. Will the outcome do anything about the time between midnight and 6 a.m. when these young males are likely to crash and kill themselves? On the flip side, crashes happen in town. So people are less injured in town, but vulnerable road users are the ones that get killed and seriously injured in town, not people in cars, because people in cars are protected. So it's a bit of like, why can't we just have a proper test and get it all in?
Yeah. James made some good suggestions there about the examiner pool and problems there. We need we're going to end up with this full time, and they're not doing just full-time recruitment, but they're doing kind of full-time contract, kind of people. Even if some are on part-time contracts, it's still called what's called an FTE post they're recruiting. We're going to have a surplus of examiners at some point as demand drops, and they need a locum style examiner pool who can continue to be an ADI. Jane, woman after my own heart, I have been banging that drum for a long time. And when we went through Brexit and they talked about starting to what they call sunset EU legislation, which is basically where we had the ability to get rid of certain legislation, which was constricting us after Brexit. They talked about sunsetting certain legislation around and regulation around ADIs. And one of the things I said at that point is, can we sunset the regulation from the EU? I think it's Article 20 that says a ADI cannot be an examiner, or they'll have to give up their badge to be an examiner. Because when DVSA approached DIA, as in Diamond, after lockdown to ask us if we'd help out with examiner deployment and training, one of the things they said is we can do a lot more, we can recruit more people if ADIs can be used. And they decided for some reason not to sunset that piece of legislation and carry on with it. So it still exists. An ADI cannot examine because of this regulation, and the regs need to be changed in the UK. And that is often used as an excuse by DVSA. Oh, we can't, it's in regulation. But so many things have been changed overnight in legislation and regulation because we needed them to. This is one that I'm just going to keep asking at every single meeting. And I know I'm already the most annoying person in the room. And I love that because I'm getting under their skin. And I also love it when they roll their eyes when I walk into a room. Because if somebody is not annoyed by me, I'm not doing my job in challenging people. So, yeah, please keep asking that of any encounters you have with DVSA. I have still not had a satisfactory answer why we cannot have ADIs doing it, because having that flexible workforce is really important for recruitment anyway. They'd recruit far more people where they needed them. For this entire crisis, we would have had far more recruitment of examiners in a more flexible way to help us deal with this crisis if we've allowed ADIs. And ADIs would have been the low-hanging fruit, but that piece of regulation, legislation, whatever it is, needs to be tackled, and it's just become an excuse that I just don't think holds water anymore.
There was a question, I've lost it. I think it was from
Please do
Susan.
keep annoying your MP, Jane. That's exactly what we
Yeah,
want to
drive your
do.
MP
Yeah.
mad. Yeah, it was why did along the lines of why do the DVSA separate instructors and driving schools? Because the point was made is we're all if we're a driving instructor, we're running a driving school.
Yes.
What is that about? And I didn't know the answer, Carly, so that's why I've asked you because I was going to answer it in
I
chat.
don't think I got a satisfactory answer when I asked that question as well, which is why I'm still deeply concerned about that consultation, because I don't think it was the most well set up consultation, and I don't think they have the answers to the challenges around how it was run. But it's almost like stop asking questions now. We've made the decisions. Let's get on with it. But yeah, I think they said it was because they wanted to justify that although the number of individuals was ADIs was low, by talking about having X amount of driving schools, they then wanted to extrapolate. It's a little bit like how one national association claims its membership. Its actual membership is very small of individual members, but it claims all the local associations underlying members. But that's not really your true membership. They were trying to say, oh, but we've had lots more AGIs respond because you've got to bear in mind in each driving school, of which we have had, I don't know the number of a number of driving schools, but in that 2,000, 3,000 driving schools, there's going to be lots of ADIs. So actually, a lot more ADIs have responded than you think. And you're a bit like, I don't know whether anybody recognises that, but it's a very sarcastic. We used to call it chinny recon when we were at school. You straight your chin as if to say, I don't believe that. That
Rub
doesn't.
my chin. That's
Yeah.
what we used to say at school.
Yeah.
Rub my chin.
Chili Recon in the 80s when I was at school, 90s. But yeah, so they tried the spin that they use the driver school number because they're trying to claim there's lots more underlying people in there. So they have had more ADI responses than the single ADI number adds up to. But
Okay, let's
it's a
let's
bit,
let's let's
let's do
try
something more positive.
to do positive.
Right.
So I don't know.
Do I put my Santa hat on back on for the last 10, 15 minutes? Well, let's do something
Yeah,
positive.
I think for me, positive is next year trying to interact with even more people than I have this year.
Yeah.
That's been a positive. I think one to many for me will be happen more often because talking like now, one to many rather than one to one. I think collectively we can do more together. When I have one-to-one conversations, it's all very good, but it then even though they're good conversations, they sort of just fade away. Whereas I think we've got to generate a will. amongst us all, a combined will. That's what I'm gonna. That's my New Year's resolution, to try to generate a combined will to find the best way forward for our industry next year and ongoing.
Yes, and I think, talking through your national associations, I think we have got somebody within DVSA. There's always been people outside of DVSA doing this role who've been shouting at DVSA. And but also not just shouting. We tried to come up with good business cases. I don't always go in there and tell them off. I'm a political operator in the respect of if you build a good business case, A, they might just pick it up and run with it, and B, it gives them nowhere to hide with things. So we have had quite a lot of successes by doing that. So whenever you come to us with something you want us to lobby on, try and think of it in the terms of putting a business case to a dragon's den. The more pragmatic and practical solution, the more easy we make it for them to do something. In fact, so easy they can't avoid doing it, the better. We can't just be like the old school unions, just waving our flaming pitchforks. We've got to be smooth operators in terms of that. We also, want to spend more time at ministerial level. I do have a role with DFT. We lead on DFT projects, but in this administration, and this is not meant to be any political affiliation of mine at all, I have to say, in this administration, we've had very little interaction with ministers, whereas previously we have. And I have demanded of DVSA, particularly because of the absolute show we had over this consultation. We want the minister who is now apparently now in charge of our area. We did think it was Lillian Greenwood. Apparently it's Mr. Lightwood. We want a direct meeting with the minister because they're making these decisions and they're not listening to the decision makers, at the coalface, the pupils and the ADIs. So Pauline did stand there on the stage of the conference and said she is working on having that. So it's more important than ever that in the new year, because they ain't going to get to see him before Christmas, you guys let me know the stuff that you want to get fed back, the problems. That's always easy to get out of you. But solutions and pragmatic solutions, some of your ideas are exactly what we take to the fore there and the forum, and build the business case. So any practical solutions that you've got, amazing. But also lobbying your MPs because there's a huge amount of dissatisfaction with government policies at the moment. And you're also a small business industry. It's not just about decisions that affect driver training and licensing and testing. We are an industry of small businesses. So there's a lot of dissatisfaction. A lot of MPs are
Don't get me
trying to
started on
talk to the
making
sector.
tax digital. I want to be
Basically,
positive.
yeah. Don't get you started
Yeah,
on tax. Don't
yeah.
start on tax at all.
No.
But talking to your local MP about the issues, as well, and trying to raise those is really, really important too. So helping us do that job. And if you ever want us to write to your local MP or provide you with fodder, then please do so. So that's a positive step we can be making in the new year.
Shall we have a go at
Shall we have a
starting?
go at the quiz? Right, we're going to do a quiz. Some of it is serious, boring DVSA stuff and legislation and whatever. Some of it is more light-hearted, fun stuff. We've never done this before, so please bear with us. What we're going to ask you to do and how we're going to cut this is we're going to use the chat function. And it is probably going to be more of a test of who types quickest. So make your answers brief than it is your actual knowledge. The first person to put the right answer or the nearest answer to the bullseye in the chat gets a point. The person with the most points by the end of this gets a prize. And I tell you what, it's a stellar prize. It's not access to the OBS
I
Unlimited. I
actually,
can't give
I've
you
even
that.
stolen the prize myself in
Graham
the
raided our
past.
stock cupboard. The first prize is kitting you out in your winter wardrobe of DIA. So it's a DIA branded high vis, a fleece, and a polo. Second prize is a fleece. So look, big money prizes here. But if you can list the questions, answer as quickly as possible to chat. First person to chat with the right answer. I'm going to read the questions. Graham's going to do his best to
I'm going to
make.
try. I've got my pencil
Got your pencil.
with a rubber on the end.
So let's go. Okay, so this is me with my Jimmy Carr Big Fat Quiz of the Year hat on. So, what year did the DVSA officially replace the DSA Driving Standards Agency with DVSA? So, when did they rebrand from DSA to DVSA? Does anybody know? And followed the merger of DSA and VOSA. Anybody know the year?
97, 2014, 2004, 2012.
2014 is the answer.
Oh, right. So hang on.
Vote
That's
that person.
Joad.
Right, okay. So, pop quiz here. Which chart-topping artist released a song called Red Light Spells Danger? And I want the year in which that song came out as well. So I want the artist for Red Light Spells Danger and what year?
I think you're going to stay the CEO. I don't think.
Have I not got a career in karaoke at least?
Yeah, well, maybe karaoke. Yes. Yeah. Billy
Anybody got that?
Ocean.
Yes. Have I got
Oh,
a year? I'll take just the name if that's all we get. We don't get the year, but have we got a
we've
Billy
got
Ocean?
77.
Yep. So whoever gave me Billy Ocean and 77, or whoever was
Oh,
first with Billy
we'll
Ocean.
split that between Richard and
Right.
Graham. They can have a
Okay.
point each. Yeah.
Number three, what major update did the Highway Code introduce in 2022 regarding road user priorities? And I'm using my words carefully there. I'm not using the word for what those priorities were assembled into. So what's that big update that went?
Hierarchy.
Whoever got that, they got the right one.
That was Janet.
Janet, okay, keep an eye on that. If we have lots of people on 1 point, we'll do a tiebreaker,
Yeah, yeah.
okay? Seasonal safety. I didn't do these questions, by the way. Blame Olivia Baldock Ward. She's the real quiz master. What should drivers do if their windscreen is frozen by setting off? I want the quickest and nearest answer to the best advice you would give to pupils.
Demist. Defrost first.
You make a
Defrost.
judgment on who comes up with the quickest, best answer, Graham.
Unfreeze and clear.
I'm giving you to call it. You call it. They're
Pull
all the
up.
right answer.
Engine on. Oh, I'll go with unfreeze and clear. That's Jane.
Okay.
I'll go with that. Yeah.
Technology time. Put your ADAS tech heads on. What is the function of ESC?
Ooh. Gonna take a while to spell.
Okay, and I will tell you it's electronic stability control, but I want to know in a nutshell, what is its function? What does electronic stability control to do? First person to tell us in a way that makes sense. Can be as few words or as
We've
little
got
words.
stop skidding, prevent skidding.
Take that. I'll take that, whoever that was. It's like an auction rather than a quiz, this, isn't it?
Right, so we got Jane in with another one.
Oh, Jane's in the lead by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm not surprised. She's a very intelligent lady. So, true or false? You can legally supervise a learner driver whilst holding your phone for navigation. True or false? First answer.
False. Oh, it's
Yeah,
too
give
quick.
them a point. Okay,
Okay,
I'm moving
hang
on
on. There's
quick.
about 2 million in now. Hang on. I've got
And
to
who was
go
the
back
first?
to,
You can see in the chat who was the first to answer it, though, can't you?
yeah, it's Graham. Oh, we've got a tie at the moment.
Okay, so retro round. Which classic car was the original Mr. Bean famously known for driving? So, what was the classic car that
Oh,
Mr.
minis
Bean?
in. Oh, hang on. God, they're quick, but I've got to go all the way back. Right, this is.
The answer is a British Leyland Mini 1000, but I'll take the nearest to the bullseye on that.
Well, we've got a mini in. We've got loads of minis in, but I can't.
First on the Mini, then.
Okay, we have Richard. So we've got three people on two.
Okay, I'm going to keep going for as long as we can on this one. We've got five
Yeah.
minutes left yet, so I'll go through the full range of questions.
Okay.
Trainer's choice, this one's called. In driver training, what's the key difference between fault-based feedback and goal-focused coaching? And I'm going to let Graham adjudicate on what would be the best, quickest answer that he receives on that in the chat.
Okay. Someone put CCS, but I know what they meant. So I'll take Janet.
And
Yeah.
what what CCS?
Client centered. I'm gonna
Okay.
take.
Well, Olivia's full answer was, and I'm not sure she realised how we were conducting this quiz
Yeah.
tonight. To know, fault-based feedback corrects specific errors, goal-focused coaching encourages self-reflection and long-term behavioural change. Clearly, Olivia had no idea how we were going to run this quiz
Yeah, yeah.
tonight. And actually, has she ever attended a pub quiz that anybody would have time to write that one down on a sheet?
Well, I tell you what, we'd need more alcohol to answer it.
That's true. Coaching corner, one for you as well, Graham.
Oh,
When
dear.
using the GROW coaching model with a learner, what does GROW stand for? Again, nearest the
Ooh.
bullseye with that one. What does GROW stand for in coaching? This is like any
Solution
of the try
focused model.
coaching.
Oh, we haven't got any answers.
Oh, okay. I'm going to
I'll
quickly
give
move
them
on.
the. Oh no, we've got goal. Next one. Goal reality options. We'll take that Joad's in. Yeah.
Joanne's in. Okay, pop culture pit stop. In the Italian Job, what famous line is shouted just before the bus teeters over the cliff?
Oh, we can have the swear words. Yeah, don't blow the doors off. Yeah, don't
With
blow
our
the
with
bloody
our
doors off.
with our very own Michael Caine of the driver training world, Graham Hooper tonight.
Yeah. So,
Okay,
hang on, let me
do you know
check.
who's
That's Graham
right?
again.
Okay, Christmas cracker. Santa's sleigh technically doesn't have seat belts or lights. Which section of the highway code would he be braking first? Santa's sleigh technically doesn't have seat belts or lights. Which section of the highway code would he be braking first? Olivia clearly does not get out enough.
No, I've got construction and use regs. I think that'll be fine.
She says, Rule 97, you must ensure your vehicle is roadworthy and that you're fit to drive.
Okay. But you see, Susan had a good answer because
Give it to
none it's
Susan.
too old
Give it to
is
Susan.
probably the correct answer in
Right.
some respects
I'm
because,
moving on. The
yeah,
techie one. What does
I'm going to go
ADAS?
Susan and Janet. I'll take them both, actually.
Okay.
Both.
What does ADAS stand for in modern vehicle technology? Any right answers? The answer is
Haven't got any yet. They're
no.
going to give them a chance. Here we go.
Give them a chance to Google it.
Advanced driver eight, no, auto drive assist system. It's too quick.
The right answer is
Go on.
advanced driver assistance systems. But again, I'll let you use your discretion about who is getting close to the bullseye.
Yeah, I'm going to give this one to Maria. Yeah.
Okay.
But there
I
might have
think
been
she,
others, but I've got quite a lot coming. So
I think she's taken some of these from like Show Me, Tell Me's and other things that we should be doing. But I'm going through those. We've done quite a few of
have you
those.
got Google?
You can use Google. The festive fiasco, she calls this one. If the three wise men, this is a tongue-in-cheek one, so the most interesting answer wins this one. If the three wise men were modern ADIs, what three gifts would they most likely bring? I'm looking for the creative, almost funny answer here, because
I've got patience, humor, and alcohol.
right, okay, I quite like that one.
Money, license, and a BMW.
For the younger crowd, I agree with the BMW one.
Yeah.
Olivia had a clipboard, dual mirror, and a hot flask of tea.
She don't get out enough.
She does
Yeah.
not get that enough. I like patience and humour.
Okay, that's Maria.
Alcohol, obviously, only when you're out of the vehicle
Yeah,
and out of your mind.
absolutely.
The
Yeah.
brain teaser, we're getting to the end. Don't worry, people. Hold on. Stay with us. The brain teaser, you're driving at 60 miles an hour and see a hazard 180 meters ahead. Roughly how many seconds away is it?
Hang on.
You're driving at 60 miles an hour. You see a hazard 180 meters ahead. Roughly how many seconds away is that hazard?
And I only think in feet, so I'm screwed here.
You're not answering the questions. Just
I
find
know.
the nearest answer.
Well,
Well, you don't know the answer, do you?
because it's
Have we
240.
got any answers? Because I'm not looking at the chat.
I've got 3 seconds, 10 seconds. It was a complete guess, but it ain't 30 seconds. I'll tell you that for nothing.
Right.
Um,
The answer is 7. So go to the nearest the bullseye answer for that one.
Sergi. Sergi
Okay.
was on it. I'm a man. Okay. Or
Final question.
Baban, as I know him.
Final question. The silly finale. If
Yeah.
Santa needed to take a driving test, which common fault would he most likely commit? And again, she's given me an answer, but I think this is creative thinking time. The most
I think,
creative
well,
answer.
speeding's in. Observations, speed on approach, no mirror checks, parking on double yellows, drunk in charge. Yeah, good one, that. I like
With
that.
all that sherry,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah.
Well, Olivia's answer was probably observation at junctions. Those reindeer antlers block his view. Oh dear me.
I'm
Oh
gonna have to
dear
work.
me.
I'll have to get her drunk. I
I'm
think.
gonna have to send her a bottle of Bailey's this Christmas
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
she needs to.
So, well, so if that would be Jane then.
It's
Right.
Jane.
Yeah.
It was Jane's answer. So, Graham, scores on the doors.
Well,
I
I'm
want
just
you. I want your first and your second.
hang on. I'm just got to do a pair of elimination now. Right, one, two, three. Ooh,
I didn't put my best mind on
Janet,
this, did I?
Janet, one, two, three.
Right.
Ooh,
Whilst he's
Jane,
counting
one,
up on his
two.
fingers, is there, as we're 2 minutes past the end time for this webinar, not because I'm rushing off anywhere, more so because I'm sure you guys want to get your dinner and relax for the evening. Is there any more questions that people? I've just come into the chat again, and the first thing I see is casserole caravan nappies.
Can I, Carly? We've got
What?
three people on a
Yes.
tie break.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Well, I'm going to ask this question then because I
So
have
we've
got a
got
time.
Graham, yeah,
Yeah.
Jane, and Janet. So they're the only three people who could answer. Yeah.
Okay, so this is and don't blame me for choosing this tiebreaker. It's the one question I haven't asked, okay? The tiebreaker is if a vehicle's ABS warning light stays on after starting the engine, what should the driver do? And I'll take the most rational, sensible answer to this. If an
Stop.
ABS,
Janet's in with stop. Go to the garage and check. Graham, no, Graham, only the people in it. And Jane called garage. So
so
the only
out
three
of your
people who could answer this are we've got to choose the best answer between Janet said stop. Yeah, well, you're not moving anyway. Graham said go to the garage and check. And Jane went call the garage. Well, I'm
Okay, I'm going to go with Graham there because it technically says have the system checked immediately. The anti-lock braking system may not be working. So, Graham, I'm awarding the tiebreaker to Graham, and I'm going
yes.
to leave it up, not you, and
Oh,
I'll leave it up to your discretion, Graham Hooper, who gets the second prize. So,
I'll tell you what we're going to do.
oh,
Right. I
oh,
don't
you're
know
going
how
to
this
just
could
do it at your
happen,
discretion now, are you?
I might. I think that I'm going to give Jane's second prize, but I think you should send Janet an umbrella.
Right, okay. Here we're gonna go. Boss's privilege here. Graham gets the top prize. I'm gonna send Janet and Jane a fleece each. So we'll have a joint tie. Yeah.
Yes, I like
And
that.
I'll tell Billy to throw a few other things in there as well. You might get lucky and get a few mirror suction cups and a dual
Oh,
mirror.
have
Who
another
knows?
suction
He,
cup.
Billy
Hey,
might go into that mail order cupboard and be all excited for Christmas and throw more in the mail order. We will, guys, if you could email, I'm sure we've got your details, but if you wouldn't mind, because I don't want you to put your addresses in the chat, if you wouldn't mind emailing help@driving.org for me with your name and address, postal address, and we will get those prices sent out to you. So help@driving.org. Email that, let them know that you're one of the quiz winners. I know who won what, and I will make sure those get sent out to you tomorrow in time for Christmas. Because who does not want to open a DIA fleece on Christmas morning? It would make
oh,
anybody's morning, wouldn't it?
excellent.
So, is there any more burning questions that people have for us in this
Someone did
end
have a
of year
question. Let
before
me
we
just
close
go.
off proceedings for this evening?
Oh, to what email shall I send my ideas?
If you want to send them directly to me, I do not mind that. My emails are so open that I often get stalkers, which is quite flattering at the grand old age of 50. But you're sending me interesting stuff rather than propositions. That's for me personally, so I'll take those. Propositions for developing driver training and licensing, always welcome. So my email is Carly Brookfield, Carly, Brookfield as it stands. There is no dot separating first and second names at DIA at driving.org. So Carly Brookfield at driving.org. Anything that you want me to put in front of DBSA or ministers or whoever it is that you think I should be speaking to, you can always get me on that. I will not always be able to respond immediately, but I do my best to work through my emails every day and give some kind of response to people. So yeah, you guys are the lifeblood of what we do in representation. It is what you're telling me, although I look like I'm a very gobby person, very opinionated, it is what you are telling me you want to change and your ideas that come out of this. So keep doing that. And I would like to just personally thank you for all your support this year. Whether you are a DIA member sat on here, who clearly are, the most important in many ways because you're the ones who are members of DIA, but we have a lot of non-members who use our services and call us up looking for advice or call us and give us ideas, and that's just as welcome too. We'll get you eventually as a member. But please keep doing what you are doing to enable us to do what we are doing. We're really grateful for you for your support. We're really grateful for your support in what has been a challenging set of years, and 2025 has been no different in terms of its challenges. But yeah, let's be positive as we end this and look forward to 2026 and what positive change we can all do, either in our individual driving schools or at a wider macro level nationally in the next year. And in terms of our own driving schools, just a little trailer that our January edition of Motormouth will be myself and Graham and some other assembled experts in the business side of things. We're going to be doing like a business planning Motormouth. So we're going to be talking about what you should be doing for your business in 2026 and beyond. Because obviously we've had a discussion tonight about how we think that demand curve is starting to, start to
Yeah,
peak and then
don't
maybe go
wait.
down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
plan now.
plan now, and also the advent of autonomous vehicles on our roads and how we're going to look at licensing and training in that much further forward than next year, by the way, if we look at the real data on what's happening with AVs. But that's a really useful planning session, not so much a debate as more the advice and guidance of business experts on that. So that'll be myself and Graham, and who's actually run driving schools and driver training organizations before. I've run a variety of small to medium sized enterprises in different areas. I'm an investor in SMEs, so I advise quite a lot of businesses. And then we've got another real person running a real driving school in Tommy Sandu, and maybe some other surprise panelists join us for that session. But yeah, that's a look forward to the new year. But in the meantime, I wish you all a restful festive break. I hope you all get a break over that period. People always think that you guys in the holidays are actually on holiday too, but you might actually see more of your pupils because they're off from a lot of their studies on their holidays. I hope you've had some fun with us tonight, as well as some of the more moany stuff that we looked at. But it's important to debate that. Any messages from you, Graham,
I
whilst
just
we're
well look, have a Merry Christmas, have a smash it out in the new year for yourselves. Think about not only your business goals but your life goals, what you want. Because if you plant the seeds, you've got a better way of getting there. If you don't know where you're going, you just get lost. So think about really what you want. Try the wheel of life. Google it and look it up and try the wheel of life, and that will give you different areas of your life you may want to look at and
yeah.
where you are on that
It's a
scale
good
and need to
exercise
speak.
that, but it's not one of the ones I suggest playing with relatives after a few drinks at the Christmas dinner table because it's the kind of thing that causes family arguments. Especially if you,
Absolutely.
like me, you've
And
got two cynical older sisters.
yeah, and come and see me on my CPD presentations if you haven't done. That will be really, really good. I've had a great year with the support of the DIA, and people have been giving me 10 out of 10, which is like, in fact, some people give me 11, which is weird.
And one of my resolutions is to see lesser Graham next year. But because I've said no, Graham's been a great addition to the team at DIA. We've been really glad to see Olivia come back and work with us. Those who know Olivia Baldock-Ward and some other team members that have joined us as well. We're working with a huge variety of trainers on different projects at the moment. We're trying to look at ways of getting more members involved in delivery of training, testing, all those things. So there's some exciting stuff coming for us in 2026 at DIA as well. So I hope to share more of that with you soon. I will send out towards the end of this week, next week, some stuff about these focus groups because again, that bit a bit being positive in the new year, going out and talking to more people more of the time. And engaging in that. So please sign up for those. And again, just thank you so much for your support. And we will see you. Well, we'll speak to some of you before the year ends, inevitably. But otherwise, have a fun festive period and see you in 2026. And thank
Go
you
and
for giving us
chill and
your time.
enjoy.
Yeah.
Chill and enjoy.
Chill and enjoy. That should be the mantra. Thanks, everybody.
Thank
And
you.
you'll be able to watch
Cheers.
this back, by the way. If you so want to see me and Graham in our Christmas outfits again, we will be sharing this recording at probably in the next 24 hours. So please screenshot me and Graham looking at our finest and plaster that all over Facebook. Take care,
Okay. Catch
everyone.
you
Thanks,
later.
Graham. Bye
Cheers.
bye.
Bye.